Kenny just pass it.
Well, they combined it into one parcel. This was 3 years ago. I think he's been paid twice a year for 3 years up to this point. All of a sudden I go, well, yeah, you're saying they have 25 out of them. So I called Marge and they're like, oh, there's something going on with the parcel numbers. All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'll call to order this meeting Thursday, November 24th, 2025. If you could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ryan Wilkerson.
Here.
Kari Miller.
Here.
Tom Berg.
Here.
James Bosetka.
Here.
And Scott Balava.
Here.
All right, tonight's agenda goes all the way to 10H. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? I know there's a couple of things that I'd like to bring up tonight.
The only thing I would change is it's Monday, not Thursday.
You're so right. I'm so sorry, you too.
Just for the record.
Yep. Okay. A couple of the items that I do want to bring up is B1 zoning district discussion. This would be item I. And this is to help support P&Z. Attorney RFP update and discussion is item J. And then performance reviews discussion for all staff as item K. And I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion with those additions.
Motion by Miller,
Second.
second by Palava. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, there are no meetings tonight, but there is a public hearing. Ordinance 2025-335, an ordinance amending Chapter 30 of the Lonsdale City Code to establish Founder's Day Committee. I'll open up this public hearing. Corey, I'm assuming that's for you.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, council. At the October 30, 2025 City Council meeting, the council approved staff to schedule the public hearing for ordinance 2025-335, an ordinance amending Chapter 30 of the Lonsdale City Code to establish Founder's Day Committee. Staff issued the 10-day public hearing notification, which was advertised in the Lonsdale News Review commencing November 11, 2025. No public comments have been received at this time. As the council recalls, at the last meeting, the council supported all staff recommendations. That is such as the composition. Staff support the committee's recommendation of a non-voting council member liaison and staff member. That member is Councilmember Miller and myself. Staff recommended the following appointment terms to prevent too many members turning over at once. This was staying consistent with all of the advisory boards in the city. Organization meetings and staff recommends the chair serves as a 1-year term and the committee election occur annually to remain consistent with current advisory board terms and elections. Staff did make a recommendation here for an addition. That addition is the secretary need not be a member of the committee. That is the exact same phrase from the EDA bylaws. Staff is recommending the removal of the committee member by the approval by the majority of the city council. Staff recommend that all city policies and procedures apply to the Founder's Day Committee. And staff recommend that all expenditures be approved by the city council and remain consistent with current department-wide spending request. And the final recommendation here, staff recommend that the committee update is presented in the monthly council members by the appointed council member, and that is Councilmember Miller. So Mr. Mayor, these are all the recommendations with the one slight addition, and that slight addition is the secretary need not be a member of the committee.
And just curious, are you the secretary, Corey?
Mr. Mayor, I am the secretary.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Does anybody from the public have anything to say about this ordinance for the Founder's Day Committee? All right, seeing none, how about Council? Brian, you got anything you want to mention?
Nope, nothing for me.
Kari?
I'm just excited to have this group and thank you for all your work, Corey and Joel.
Jamie?
I'm good.
Scott?
Nothing.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion by Palava,
Second.
second by Wormerskirchen. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, this meeting is now closed. On to presentation of citizen petitions and comments. Comments limited to 2 minutes, so if you're not on the agenda, now is your time to speak. When addressing council, please state your first name, last name, and address too, please. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. We have items A, B, C, D, and E, A being monthly and additional bills, treasurer's report, board and commission minutes. Consider approval to increase the hourly snow hauling rates from $125 to $135 per hour. Consider approval of resolution 2025-53, a resolution accepting a donation from Joanne and Carl Martin in the amount of $1,000 to the Lonsdale Fire Department. Does anybody want any of these items pulled from the consent agenda to consider during new business?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
All right.
Second.
Moved by Palava, second by Miller. One thing I do want to mention before we signify by saying aye here is I do want to thank Joanne and Carl Martin for donating that $1,000 to the Lonsdale Fire Department. That means a lot to us. So is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, on to old business. Discuss the City of Lonsdale's 2026 proposed final budget and property tax levy. Joel Erickson, City Administrator.
All right, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. The city council held 7 meetings pertaining to the city's preliminary 2026 budget and property tax levy. This would be an opportunity to, I guess, discuss and make any changes prior to its final adoption at the December 11th council meeting. Based on discussion, or based on the budget presented at the September 22nd meeting, there was a property tax levy, deficit of over $293,000. At that meeting, staff was directed to reduce that deficit to $150,000. At that meeting, there were a number of cuts proposed for each department. Those included recommendations from department heads that were presented to me. I agreed with most of them. Some I didn't agree with and didn't include or didn't cut as much as what was recommended, just based off of historical revenues and or expenses, and just wanted them to make sense, based off of historical data, not just cut just to cut and have a balanced budget, knowing that it wasn't going to work out. Since then, department heads did meet with me and go over their proposed cuts. The cuts that were approved by the council at that September budget meeting, all were approved with the exception of conferences for the library. So as of today, that deficit has been reduced to $155,646. As far as the property tax levy, staff was conservative and used a increase of values of 5%. Here last week, I got information that they actually increased 6.76%. So the effect that has is we were working on keeping our tax rate the same at 52.689, and with the increased values, it actually decreased to 51.719. And then, as with previous budget meetings, I included the 26 property tax levy and an impact on houses that we've been tracking over previous years. As far as the council, Wages were based on city code, and then increased repairs for the audio-video system. As far as human resources, pay scales proposed to increase 3% to reduce the increase in health insurance premiums as much as possible. We switched to Blue Cross. We accounted for the paid family medical leave. Instead of going with the state plan, we actually got a quote. The state plan was 0.88% of wages. We actually got a premium quoted at 0.82. So we went through that, and staff will be getting their notice here this week as far as a payroll deduction. I think people are going to be surprised when they see that an additional expense out of their paychecks when we already provide time off.
On that too, did you file with the state so that they know that we offer a better plan than they
Yes.
do? Okay,
Yep. Yep, it has to be equal to or better.
Better.
Yep, we've got that certification.
thank you.
As far as administration, accounted for 26 elections. Professional services, the hot topic is mosquito control. That's going to be discussed at the next park board meeting. And I know the council has discussed this in the past. Based off of, or what's included in the proposed 26 budget is just under $50,000 to continue the operations that we currently do. Over the last couple of years, I have received an alternate bid for organic treatments, and that will double the cost. So, not sure if the council wants to discuss that now, or, 'cause actually I think you're going to be setting, or will the park board meet before the next council meeting?
The park board is December 8th.
So it'll meet 3 days before the council meeting. And then as far as professional services, they're virtually consistent across departments. Each one has their quirks. We've got the continuing disclosure that we need to provide the state board on. 60% of budget costs, we'll need to solicit proposals for 26 and after. Dues and subscriptions would be the league membership, our accounting system, and then City Hall's portion of Archive Social, which is just a backup of our social media sites that is required if someone made a data practices request, if someone deleted their post, we'd be able to retrieve that. Planning and zoning, the property tax levies increased quite a bit, just simply due to the lack of building permits anticipated, and are anticipating inspection fees to be less, but as of now, I have not accounted for the apartment project. Dues and subscriptions, we have our GIS and then our iWork, which is our building permit software. Police, $140,000 in federal funding accounted for to purchase body cameras. Received an email last week that said it wasn't included in the continuing resolution that was adopted to open up the federal government, but Congress is working on passing that in subsequent bills. We added the position of sergeant, which increased expenses by about $15,000. Included department-issued firearms, repairs and maintenance to the parking lot, professional services, again, similar, copiers, things like that, and then fees for drug task force and services like that that are provided by other agencies. Camera licensing for the cameras through our park system, and then capital outlay, obviously the body cam expense. I did budget for the additional furniture for the records management staff and the sergeant, and then continuing to budget for the purchase of a new squad in 27. The recycling rebate is new for this year and for the whole year 26. That's a rebate that we received from Dick Sanitation for a portion of the curbside recycling program. The EDA, they've got essentially 3 funds, the revolving loan fund. The only revenue that we have coming in is the Pet Stop Veterinary Clinic revolving loan fund. That'll be paid off in October of 26. And then the only expenses would be any loans that were provided or professional services, legal, recording, things like that. The housing grant fund is revenues or just B&E reimbursements that we request from the state for actual projects or admin. And then as far as the reimbursement from the state, we just estimated where we anticipate to be at the end of this year and whatever balance is remaining of unspent grant funds, budget that for revenues. And then expenses would be for projects or admin. The last fund of the EDA, we reduced the overall city marketing budget that's funded by the EDA by 50%. They approved a facade rehab deferred loan grant program for next year, providing up to $20,000 in funding. And then we applied for a grant through Smith for 50% of a market study for businesses that are needed in Lonsdale. As far as the library revenues are the property tax levy. We get a letter every year from the Department of Education, and the city's minimum level of support is $74,180, which is based on 90% of the 2011 state certified levy for library support. Rice County and other, I believe it's $29,750 that they provide to the library, and then other fees and donations. Expenses, training and education. As I said, of all the cuts proposed at the last budget meeting, this was the only one that was not approved by the city council. And then, again, professional services, copier, we pay the villages of Lonsdale out of that, Selco, fire extinguishers, and cleaning. Utilities are paid, electricals paid to the villages of Lonsdale. Dues and subscriptions of B&E memberships, magazine, newspaper subscriptions, again, archive social, Zoom, services like that. Gifts and donations, they're used to purchase programming supplies, office equipment and furnishing, storage for the science kits, and then capital outlay, $11,000 for the collection and $3,000 for computer lease through Selco. All of the debt service funds have been accounted for. I guess one of the things that we talked about throughout the budget process was with us selling property to Quick Trip across the street, and then closing on the old city hall on Monday, December 1st. We did not budget any property tax levy funds for those debt services. So that's gonna hit hard in 27. Like a punch in the face. It's gonna hurt. Parks, we've got revenues, property tax levy, our state grant with the Snow Wizards, we're the pay agent for them, that's $4,860, LGA, refunds and reimbursements, compost site reimbursement from Rice County, and then insurance dividend. We get a small amount from cable and telephone franchise fees, and based off of what I was told, 26 is the last year of our T-Mobile lease payment. So there's another $45,000 next year that either gonna have to be cut from the Parks Department or other funds secured, whether it's a property tax levy or things like that. Expenses, training, education would be Safe Assure, that's throughout all departments, and then tree school. Repairs and maintenance of general items, field paint and field chalk. Landscaping materials would be flowers, flower bed mulch, and then tree replacement. Again, similar professional services, tech support obviously is with all departments as well. RPZ testing for the Parks Department, and then grinding of trees at the compost site. I know we've had considering discussion on the compost operations, and if we're not going to enforce the rules and regulations up there, we're gonna have to add at least $10,000 a year, because we're gonna have to have that brush pile ground twice. So I think the simplest way is enforcement. That's by far the cheapest. And then tree removal, rentals, porta potties, and then equipment. grants, like I said earlier, the Snow Wizards, that's the pass-through, we're the pay agent for them. Recreation, the city cost participates with TCU Summer Rec Program at the elementary school here in town for, I believe it's a 6 or 8 week program. And the capital outlay would be a lawnmower replacement. As far as water, as of now, the WAC fees do account for the apartment building and new homes. Repairs and maintenance, again, general, it's water main breaks. We paint so many hydrants each year. Professional services, consistent with other departments, RPZ testing, flow meter testing. I believe we budgeted $8,000 to have the water tower cleaned. Engineering, council recently approved the water tower siting study, and we will be bringing a proposal for the capital improvement plan or pavement management plan. Capital outlay, MXU's water meters, and working towards being able to auto read in 2027. That cost for 26 is $140,000. It's accounted for, but it's not supported by the revenues. I've accounted for each debt service payment from the water fund, and then based off of the current budget, a projected deficit of about $384,000 when accounting for depreciation. With that said, we don't pay it out, but it is accounted for in our audit, and a projected deficit of about $142,000. And we went over the comp water study recommendations at a number of the past budget meetings. As far as the sewer, we've got our SAC revenues, accounts for the apartment building and new homes. Chemicals do include the bugs that we've been purchasing each of the last several years. Professional services would include biosolids and sewer cleaning and televising. We increased electrical substantially to account for bringing the second pond online. And then we've also, in capital outlay, accounted for ferric acid pumps and then the aerators, which will be in that second pond. Projecting a surplus of about $149,000 when accounting for depreciation, and about $342,000 when not accounting for it. As far as the liquor store, no secret, our main revenues are sales of product. We do receive some interest, expenses, training and education, Safe Assure Chamber Dinner, MMBA conference, alcohol training, repairs and maintenance, unexpected items. I think this is the one that major cut was made from. I think we had $19,000 in the preliminary budget. We reduced that to $9,000. Hopefully that's a solid number. I mean, historically we've been trending $11,000 to $13,000 in repairs annually. Merchant credit card, we did switch vendors earlier this year, so we're hoping to realize a savings there. Cost of goods, just strictly what we pay for beer, liquor, wine, THC, and that's just based off of historical data. I think recently with the continuing resolution that was passed at the federal level, reducing the amount of THC or hemp contained in those products, that's something that we'll need to monitor closely throughout the year. I know I was watching the news here before the meeting, there's going to be a push to change that. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, but I don't think we should wait till December 31st of next year to address it. Professional services, security, pest control, Cintas, again, tech support, floor cleaning, dues and subscriptions to the MMBA, the Municipal Beverage Association, the Chamber, Archive Social, and then software support for their accounting system at the store. Donations, for many, many years, Community Days has paid for the porta potties for Community Days. As of now, there's no proposed capital expenses. And then association fees, we reduced those to be more consistent with just what they are on an annual basis without any major repairs or improvements. Projecting a slight profit when accounting for depreciation. and then about a $25,000 loss. Or, I'm sorry, a small profit when accounting for depreciation and a projected profit of about $25,000 when not accounting for it. Road and bridge, we got street maintenance as the big hitter there. We included or recently seen the maps of the southeast section of town that proposed to mill and overlay, the GSB 88 instead of chip seal, patching a sidewalk or crosswalks, and then did budget for a portion of the CIP or pavement management plan. And then all of the remaining pages are items that the council has previously seen as far as long-term goals. Did include the line item budget in addition to information that's provided by Rice County as far as what they consider T&T information. You can see how Lonsdale compares to all the other communities in Rice County. I guess one thing that stuck out to me is that as far as the big cities in Rice County, we have the second lowest tax rate for School District 721, and of the cities, we actually have the lowest city tax rate. So we, again, began this process back in May. As I said, we held several meetings. We had the kickoff on May 22nd. June 17th, we reviewed water and sewer wages and the assessment policy. July 8th, we reviewed the council, debt service, the fee schedule, and streets. July 28th, we did City Hall, Planning and Zoning, Police. August 19th was the library, EDA, Parks, and Liquor Store. September 9th meeting was the levy and all departments. And then, as I said a couple times earlier, the September 22nd meeting was a review of everything, and we reviewed the cuts. So the process used for determining the city's budget has been fairly consistent over the years. We use guidance from the city council on goals, priorities, and objectives. Department heads meet with the city administrator. Typically, I think it was the same as this year, everything that's requested gets put into the budget, and then as we go through the budget process and refine or define goals, objectives, and priorities, either things are added to or cut from the budget. And I guess as far as recommendations to department heads, my direction was to make cuts that had the least amount of impact on residents. Any questions at this time?
Do we want to go over this email that was sent?
100%. Absolutely.
So I'll let you
Yep.
read it and kick it out.
So we received an email from Tyler Morgan, and during the most recent library board meeting, the board was tasked with reducing the library budget by a little over $10,000 at the request of the city administrator. So I'm tasked with implementing council's directive, and we were all tasked with, whether it was myself or department heads, reducing that $293,000 deficit down to $150,000. As part of this process, we are requesting permission to use reserves so that cleaning services are not reduced. The library is used by many people of all ages, daily, weekly, and monthly. And it also shares a building with a care center where elderly residents live. Maintaining proper cleaning services is essential for public health and safety for everyone who enters the building. I think that was a fair summary of the library board meeting that was held last Wednesday night. In addition to this request, I'd like clarification on several financial questions relating to the library. How much cash is currently available and earmarked in city's accounts specific to the library? So as of October 1st, the library had a fund balance of $140,407. That was reduced through expenses through that month to October 31st, a fund balance of $124,913. And that is provided where I got that from is the treasurer's report that is on the dais. When the city creates its annual budget, does it use reserve funds generated from library fundraising events throughout the year? Answer is yes, we do. We use that to offset the amount of property tax levy needed for that department and quite frankly others. So for 25, we accounted for $2,000 in grants donations. Over the last several years, that amount's ranged from $976 to $2,891. The third question was, in the past, if reserve funds earmarked for the library were used for purposes other than the library, how far back did this occur? And was there a public notice issued regard to the reallocation of those funds? If no public notice was provided, I would like to understand why. So going into the first question, are reserve funds earmarked for the library used for purposes other than the library? That answer is no, they have not. As you can see, we have fund accounting and everything is coded into funds, so we have a solid record of tracking revenues and expenses, regardless of the fund they're in. How far back did it go? I guess the answer is never, because we have never done that. Was there a public notice issued regarding the reallocation? Again, the answer is no, because we haven't done that. But I guess I'm not aware of any statutory requirement that says that the city has to. Anytime we do transfers, we do them via resolution. Regarding the current budget reduction, was the $10,000 decrease applied proportionately across other city departments, such as police, fire, city hall, or was the library impacted differently? Given that those departments have larger overall budgets, I'm seeking clarification on whether reductions were shared equally. So I was asked, what dollar amount or percentage do I have to hit? My response was, there isn't one. Look at your budget and recommend some cuts. But for clarification, and I pulled this information mainly from the last budget packet, cuts to City Hall were $7,300, planning and zoning was just under $3,000. The police department was almost $50,000, EDA 10. The library, $10,260. Our parks department, we are foregoing an expansion of the Vest Memorial Project. We had budgeted $30,000 for that. Debt service, I talked about that previously, but that's going to increase several $100,000 next year. And then streets, the Public Works Director initially proposed over $156,000 in cuts. My recommendation was to reduce that to $55,000. And that, again, was included in the September 22nd budget packet. So hopefully that answers the questions. Again, it was just kind of share the pain as much as each department can.
I think you brought up a lot of good questions. But the one thing is so we do not have cleaning services for the library at this moment in this budget, right?
No, it is included. I put it back in.
Okay.
It was noted in the.
Yeah, it was noted in the staff report. Well, with that said, the library is running a deficit of about $2,900. You can see that in the line item budget.
$2,900. Okay. Brian, is there anything you would like to add to that since you are on the library board?
Well, no, I'm glad to see that the cleaning services are back. There was the discussion at the meeting. I'm sure if anybody's had a chance to watch the meeting, the discussion did come up, and you know, some of the concerns that were raised never crossed my mind until they were raised, you know, the fact that we're connected to the, senior living facility, you know. It raised a concern for me personally, that, you know, cleaning service is something that's probably a little more critical than maybe in some other of our municipal buildings. You know, that's a tough one to cut, because really, at the end of the day, I mean, even here at City Hall, you can make the same argument, that staff time would basically eat up any savings that we would have for potentially cutting those services. So, I mean, I think it's a good point that was raised, not just for the library, but in general, that if we cut those services, we have to offset that with staff time to do those things, because it has to happen one way or another. So I think that's important to note, because I think, Joel, did I see that it was put back in for City Hall as well?
That's my recommendation.
Yeah, so I mean, I would agree with that on both fronts. So looking at the treasurer's report here, budget to actual, for the library. So for expenditures, we're at 85.1% of budget. Is this through November or October?
It would be through October.
Okay,
We're always a month behind.
okay. And on the revenue side, that's what we've received?
Correct.
So, because we're expecting another payment for the property tax
Correct.
from the county, correct? That would account for the other 38%, up around 40%, so that will bring us to 100%? Pretty close?
Pretty close, I mean, if we get
Based
spot on with both
Sure,
budgets.
sure. So, do you anticipate there will be, as far as expenditure, that's gonna hit 100%? Potentially? I mean, because I know.
I guess that'd be a question for the director.
Yeah, I mean, 85% through, you know, with 2 months to go, I would see the potential for having leftover funds from the budget roll into next year, which could be used to offset some of that too, that additional cost, right? I mean, that's my thought on it. I mean, we came into the budget, I mean, when we had the last meeting about the cuts, I mean, the impression I got from the council was there's an appetite to minimize any impacts and look at reserves for this year. I mean, I've said it myself, I'm not opposed to using reserves to offset and minimize the impact of any of these cuts. For this year, now, next year, I mean, there's a lot of valid points being put towards what we have to consider for next year. I mean, 1 year's fine, 2 years is a problem. So that's my thought on it.
And actually, up until June of this year, the library was the only one that had cleaning service. The police department doesn't. The liquor store has, up to 7,000 people a month go through there. They do their own cleaning. I get it's gonna be put in there, but that's just the little historical context of kind of facility cleaning. Public Works does their own cleaning. We've all scrubbed toilets. Many, many, many times.
So, Brian, is that what you had?
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, Carrie, you got anything?
No, I know it's hard to cut, but we have to.
Jamie?
I'm good.
Scott?
I'm on both sides of it. I understand the value of it and the value of removing it, so it's, running a business myself, I understand every aspect of it, and it's never an easy choice.
And I'm just asking too, like, any general questions on the budget itself, not just the cleaning portion. Maybe I gotta restart now.
Do we want to have a discussion on mosquito control?
I think if people are gonna come in through the public and they're gonna voice their concerns, I think that's the place for them to voice their concerns, and Park can make the recommendation with you know, we can accept the minutes and review the minutes as well and see what they have to say. I mean, it's nice that we live stream everything now, so we can just watch the meetings and see what they have to say too, to accelerate that process, but I would rather wait to see, what's gonna happen in Park Board. I think we've talked about it enough and kept coming back to the similar opinion.
And I just know a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on it, and I just want to make sure that people have a chance to say their piece one last time before we decide for 2026.
It's a call for people to come to that meeting, I would
Yep,
say.
exactly. So any people who want to show up for or against, come to the Parks meeting.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to jump the queue here or anything, but I think one of the things that I brought up, at the library board meeting was we as a council, some of this is, excuse me, self-inflicted. I mean, we gave raises across the board, so we created additional expense on this budget. You know, so that, keeping that in the back of my mind, you know, we did that. We said, we're gonna do these raises, it's important to us, it's a priority for us. You know, the sergeant's position, that was a priority for us, we did that. And I'm not saying that these are bad things, I still think that they're good things that we did. And that's why I'm okay with saying for this year, I'm all right with going into the budget, or into the reserves to offset cuts, because we created additional expenses for next year. There's nobody else to blame for it. It's not a staff problem. It's not anybody that works for the city of Lonsdale. It's 100% the council that made that decision. So, you know, personally, I take responsibility on that. And that's why I am willing to say, you know, we did that. We'll take the heat and the hit for using reserves for a year, because I don't feel that we making that decision necessarily needs to fall on the taxpayers either. So I just want people to know that that's my approach and the way I'm looking at this. This is 100% on us, nobody else.
Did you say what you needed to, Craig?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian, or Jamie?
Good.
Scott?
Nothing.
Okay, so, I mean, one other item that wasn't mentioned was if the federal funding does come in, the fire department will end up with a $40,000 surplus for those encrypted radios that was on their capital improvement, correct? Because we approved that budget before we even understood
Fire or
that we
police?
were, huh?
Fire or police?
Oh, fire department.
I would have to confirm if those radios were part of the budget.
Because
We would have approved, I do not believe that the expense was accounted for 26.
I thought it was, because it was a big priority to them for 26 to get, because what, they only had one, I think?
Oh, that is correct. We have 267,000 budgeted for capital outlay, 180,000 to replace a fire truck, 23,000 for a boat that was purchased early, side-by-side was purchased early, SCBA's is replacement plan, lift bags to be purchased, turnout gear, and then 36,000 for the 800 megahertz.
Yeah. So with that funding, we would receive that kind of surplus, and that fire department budget was, I mean, that was planned for reliability and liability. You know, that was pretty big for them to get that accomplished, but, you know, I got kind of peddly things. I mean, if we talk about The library, $2,900, I kind of look at it like, well, the library doesn't receive any local government aid. Road and Bridge does, Park and Rec does, Police does, P&Z does, and our general fund does. And, just split pretty even around the board. I think P&Z is the only one that's a difference. However, but then I look at civil defense. This comes from development, and we got it budgeted for $1,500. And then if we do trigger development, I mean, that can be accounted for, that development, if we ever really need to get that fixed. But then office supplies for council at $1,500. I mean, yeah, we talked about the AV system, but we never received any quotes or anything. And I mean, that was a pretty staggering jump when I looked through it. Where can I find it again?
Yeah, and that dollar amount just came from talking to downtown Sound as far as about $100 to replace each one of those.
Mics.
Correct.
So that's what we're anticipating, is the mics being changed?
Yeah, I'd like them all to work.
Okay. Is he able to try that before we we buy it? Make sure that the sound issues don't continue? Because I mean, it has been working pretty decent as is.
Yeah, I can try a sample one. It just seemed like when one went, they all went.
Yeah, and I mean, like I
It's
said,
like
it's
changing a light bulb.
right.
Change one, you might as well just change them all.
Right. But I mean, it's just that minimal cost, and I know I've talked with the police department as well, and I asked if we could defer the $20,000 for the squad car replacement to possibly next year as well. I mean, I think that, yeah, Brian, you brought it up where it's, we brought up the wages, but I mean, the wages have been sitting there the same way for so long, and I'll hang my hat on that all day long.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm not
But the thing
saying
is,
it's in a negative by
but
any means.
No, I understand where you're coming from, but my thing is look what also changed is this year, or 2026, we got $197,000 for added debt service. And then the next year, we got another $100,000 on top of that. And now we're gonna have debt service payments too. That was not my vote. That was not a self-inflicted wound. And I get a little bothered by that. Because we funded this whole entire budget off of needs. Every bit of it's been needs. All of it's been stuff that has always been talked about and never done. And I'm glad we picked up the can and put it towards this budget and focused on 2027, 2028, 2029. Making sure we're being proactive and not reactionary. I know the liquor store is going to have an issue next year. This was on the news. Breweries and municipal liquor stores, they're going to have a hard time, and Lynette has to be supported. And I want her to know that she's got council support to do her job. Library, they got our support to do their job. Public Works, you got our support to do your job. And I owe a massive thank you to all of you, even to our chief. I know how residents tend to feel about tax increases, but understand there's a lot of work that went into this. There was a lot of hard conversations, a lot of honesty. So that's what I really got to say about this budget. I keep focusing on economic development, and I know everybody has, and we'll see what next year really truly brings. Whether this apartment goes, whether, I got exciting news about that business for the 16.2 acres. It's moving to close on the land and on the building, and that's a nice site and, welcoming Quick Trip in. So there's quite a bit, and it's an understatement to point the finger at us when we really just took on a giant mess, and we worked it through. So credit to council for that, credit for city staff and all departments. So I got nothing else I really got to say on that, other than welcome Jason too. That was a good decision for professional services, so. But with that, if anybody, well, that was just a discussion, so. If there's nothing else to be said, I'll move to item B.
Actually, also we did receive, so any changes then to what was presented tonight? Or, I guess I would like to know that so I can incorporate them for the December 11th meeting. Because that's pretty much everything.
Because of the tax rate decrease, and the deficit going $5,000 more, are we okay from when we reported it to the county? Are we okay? Can we move forward with what's presented? Because our tax rate went down. Would our levy, what would our projected levy, if it still stay at that 5%, or what would our levy?
Correct,
be?
yeah, we cannot,
Okay,
we cannot increase it.
I think that's one of the big things.
Can it come down?
It can come
It can
down.
come down, yep. But I was worried about the tax rate coming down if the percentage then went up. So, for the levy.
Yeah, it would have. If the levy would have went up, the tax rate would have went up. Because you're just dividing the levy into your tax capacity.
Okay. All right, any changes? Staff, how do you feel? Good? Jason? Joe?
I do have one thing, Mr. Mayor and council, to share with you. It's an email that we received regarding our dog park.
Sure.
Hello, I've been contacted by a few dog park people to bring up the following issues. The wood chips at the park seem to be posing a problem for dogs and owners. One owner had a piece of wood pierced through her shoe and cut their foot, and she ended up in the emergency room. Others have mentioned it's difficult to walk on them, as I can attest to after almost falling several times. They are too large and roll under your foot. Is there a way large pieces can be removed and replaced with smaller wood chips? I see there is a lot of them at Donnie Smishek's lot on the way out of town. Also, I am following up on the pole light that was supposed to be installed last spring based on the meeting in November of 2023's promises. A grant was supposed to be applied for to Excel Energy for it. Please let me know if there are any reasons why these two things cannot be accomplished in the near future. I can relay my information back to the people that have raised their concerns. I'm gonna pause right there. The first thing I will address is the light pole for the grant in 2023's process. I did apply for a grant with Excel Energy. We did not receive it. And furthermore, after that, the Excel Energy decided to reroute the power to our wastewater treatment plant. It used to run across Stika Park overhead over the skate park. Once we constructed the skate park, Excel Energy wanted it to be buried underground. It was proposed that the route would continue in the same manner of the aerial lines. I'm sure further plan review revealed that they actually came from the north side of Industrial Park Drive. If the power would have ran the way the aerial lines ran, we would have been able to get a pole put in by Excel Energy for free and have just a monthly service fee for having the light. Being that changed, that was off the table, and it just hasn't happened. Back to the email, one request that was also brought up 2 years ago, and that is to have a separate area for dogs, new puppies, smaller dogs, or dogs that are not accustomed to other dogs, so they have a space to run. This could temporarily be the pond area if there was a separate gate entrance provided on the outside without having too much to go through the main area to get access to it. The best permanent solution would be to add a space along the fence on the east side. I would like the council to know that I did speak with Ms. Rezak this morning about this. I went through all of these things, same as I'm doing with you guys. We're both on the same page. She understands, it's money cuts are a real thing. These are pretty expensive things that would happen. I would say adding a gate would cost around the nature of $2,000 to $3,000.
Depending on how big of a segregated area we would want to fence in, I guess I would start those bids at 30,000 for a small area, upwards of 100,000 if we were to divide the park in equal shares. A light pole for the city to make a phone call all in is probably going to be around $10,000 plus the monthly service fee. As far as the wood chips go, my recommendation would be in the entrance and to the pavilion to pour concrete or some sort of bituminous or some hard surface for the spring months to give the dog park visitors a place to walk, not in the mud. I could allocate $5,000 for that. As far as the mulch goes, to address her concerns, in the immediate future, we went and kind of sorted through and pulled some of the mulch out. I was talking to Brian before the meeting a number of years ago in this 2023 process. There's a large outcry for these wood chips against my recommendation to put them down to get them out of the mud. This is just what kind of happens with wood chips. They just deteriorate and start rolling around. The guys went up, fixed it up today, so everything's back. Just wanted to add it to the discussion, being it is a park expense for the budget, and knowing that the projects that we have proposed have already been chopped. So with that, I'll leave it to the council.
Thank you, Joe. Brian, you got anything?
Thanks for being proactive on it. Appreciate you guys jumping on there and taking care of it and just providing the update. And thanks for working with the citizen. So I appreciate that, Joe. Thank you.
Okay.
I know other dog parks up in the cities have the wood chips as well, so it is just one of those things. But like you said, we had to already cut a lot from the budget, so it'd be nice to put these on the wish list for the parks budget in the future, maybe 27. It would be nice to have a light pole up there too, but again, that's an added expense, so I don't know. Thanks for being on top of this and knowing about the Excel rerouting and all that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Jamie?
I'm good.
Scott?
I'll reiterate what Brian and Carly said. I agree that it's been, it's constantly been growing and developing, and unfortunately, it doesn't happen overnight, and it costs a lot of money to do it. So, we'll do our best to get it taken care of in a timely fashion, hopefully in the next couple of years.
Yeah, thank you, Joe, for following up on this. I got some ideas. I'll float into you. But thank you for bringing this to our attention. All right, on to item B, discuss the proposed city council chamber rental rules and regulations, rental application, and rental agreement. Joel Erickson, city administrator.
All right, this was presented at the last council meeting. It was reviewed and tabled. Staff wasn't requested to provide any additional information. So what's included in the staff report is what was presented at the last meeting.
All right. Jamie, you got anything?
Not right now.
Scott?
Yeah, I go back to, torn on it that, yes, the original plan was, to allow this facility for, public uses. And, I agree, we should. It's just, I'm still a little hung up on some of the details to make it usable, so. I still haven't really, I don't have anything else on that. I feel it both ways.
Sure. All right, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Scott on that, you know, it's one of those, oh, jeez, pen cap. It's one of those things where we sold this as a space for community. You know, I still think that there's a way that we could do something, figure something out. I think we need to continue to think about this and potentially bring it up again. You know, I think there's valid concerns here, you know. Again, it goes back to what we talked about with the cleaning stuff, staff time. You know, we're incurring additional cost. Yes, some of that will be offset by the rental fees, but in a lot of cases, the fee that we charge to keep it realistic probably wouldn't cover our costs. So, you know, it's one of those things where I think we need to continue to think about this. I really do. I don't want to see this just be the end of the discussion on it. I guess I'll leave it at that.
All right, Carrie?
All right, so Northfield, they do rent out their space, but only during city hall hours, and they have different fees, so no charge for nonprofits in the city, $25 per hour, maximum $100 a day for nonprofit meetings closed to the public or nonprofits who are charging fees. Custodial use $20 an hour, and then staff salary plus $25 administrative fee for city hall audiovisual equipment, but we said that we weren't gonna include that. New Prague does not rent out their city hall. New Market does rent out their town hall. There's a daily rate of $100 for township residents and $250 for non-township residents. There's a $25 application fee and a $250 deposit. The center does rent out their conference rooms for a $20 fee. They have a small kitchenette as well and a 35-person occupancy. I know Waconia is a little bit out, but this one is one of the only ones I could find. They have 2 conference rooms that they rent out, $20 an hour for either of those. So I do think we should have it as an option. And then are we considering renting out the conference room up front too, or just this space here?
I guess going to the city council, we've just been talking about this room right now.
Because we could,
I mean, it would be nice to retain that for staff.
yeah. I don't know, I just feel like we should have something in place to rent this space out, since that is what it was sold on to the public. And we have a very thorough rental agreement in the packet. I think it goes above and beyond from any of these other cities that I was able to find info for on their websites. So I am in favor of it.
All right, Jamie, now back to you. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, we spent all the money on this furniture in here, and if we weren't gonna rent it out, we could've got by without the tables. We could've probably got by with some cheaper chairs, and we could've cut thousands off the budget for the city hall. Yes, we run a risk that something could get damaged, but we also run a risk that something can get damaged in a meeting over anything. 'Cause
Chickens.
Chickens, exactly. So, try renting it out. If it doesn't work, we can revisit it, but I'd rent it out.
I would agree with that. You know, and Brian kind of mentioned it last time, that's why we got the accordion doors. And I'm not going to spend $1.8 million to add the library onto here when we don't have the money to do it, just to rent the chambers out. You know, a couple of other things is, you know, we brought up audio repairs, and we didn't do that. You know, we worked with what we had. The Skywarn lease agreement, that was not staff's recommendation, but then we brought them here. And then again, the tables and chairs, and then even for the break room. And nobody's gonna have access to the break room, but then we still spent the money to furnish that. So, I mean, I guess my thing is that I still remember it like it was yesterday, walking into the basement of the old city hall and seeing all the displays of what it could potentially look like. And it was constantly said, this is for community, this is for community, and this is a need, and this is a need. And I thought it was great that they took advantage of an empty building. I wasn't comfortable with the bonding. And I think that council has followed through with that community aspect for this city hall, time and time and time again. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't at least try it, see how it went. This is a great space, and there's a lot of great things that could be conducted here. And we're already allowing the Chamber of Commerce to host the State of the City here and use the staff to do it. I think we can make it work if we can make it work with the State of the City. I kind of agree with Brian where it's, you know, because now Kari brought up the good point, it's some of these other places, they rent them during city hall hours. And I think that brings up a good point to initially start it. You know, the State of the City is during city hall hours. And I just think it would really be worth it. And the other thing is it's not like somebody has to be here the whole time. So say if, you know, Wheatland even comes in and does, you know, a public hearing. It's just a simple, hey, we wrapped up, you know, was it cleaned up? Take a photo, send it to me. Joel, I think you got an app on your phone where you can lock the doors, don't you? Where you have access to it?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's not even like city staff really has to be here. You sign a waiver, you put a security deposit in. So, I mean, what is it that we host here? I can see the difference between a public hearing for a township or a State of the City, different from like a birthday party. And I went to FNB for a birthday party, and I got 4 rowdy kids, and they had frosting all over their fingers, and I said, oh, poor Adam, you know. Yeah, I just think we'd be remiss to do it. And this community deserves this place to be for community. So I'm in favor of it. I would get behind this rental agreement, and then kind of see what comes down the pipeline.
I guess if I may, because, you know, I spoke before Kari did, the, operating within city hours, I do like that aspect of it, at least for the, maybe for the beginning, so we can try it out, and there is some, I don't know, additional supervision to make sure that things are being handled, you know, properly to begin with. I mean, same thing when Evergreen moved in here, you know, they had a lease, but we didn't want them here before we were even in the building.
Sure.
You know, if something needs to be addressed, during the course of a meeting, you know, maybe the first few, we know what we need to do. Hate to rent the facility out and then, somebody not get what they need or not be able to operate, for whatever reason. So, I do like that idea.
And we also have the security for the door accesses too. So, I mean, we're pretty well-rounded with that sense of security as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of costs we could cut out of this thing if that was not the intentions to move forward with, so. I don't know, council, you want to think on it one more time and before we approve it, or approve it with the understanding that we're gonna improve it over time?
I feel like I want to approve it with the understanding to start with it would be during city hall hours and go from there.
Is that your motion?
Yeah, I'll make that
All right.
motion. Sorry.
Second?
I'll second it.
Second by Vaseka. Any further discussion?
I like that change.
Okay.
Do we want to set a timeline to review it for, you know, after so many rentals or whatever, to see how it works, to see if we want to expand it to not outside of city hours? Otherwise, we could say, well, you know, this is just temporary, but it could be temporary for
20 years.
3 months or 20 years.
Right.
How about, I don't know, Joel, what do you think?
Would be- I was just saying, number of rentals as opposed to
Go off
time
a number
frame.
of rentals.
Yeah.
How often during the day, Marguerite, do you rent the large meeting room at the library during 8 to 4:30?
Including the villages of Lonsdale,
Not including them.
not including them once or twice a week. And then another once or twice a week in the evening. Or when weekends when we're out there.
Should we say 6 months?
That's what I was
Six,
thinking.
6 months?
yeah. With the review in 6 months. Or sooner if needed.
Okay. All in favor?
I,
Aye. All opposed? All right. Motion carries. I think that was a great decision, council. On to new business, consider approval of resolution 2025-54, a resolution calling for a public hearing regarding a proposed tax abatement. Shannon Sweeney, David Drown Associates, thank you for being so patient.
You're welcome. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. The city has received a tax abatement request from Brian Bruggeman from BJB Holdings for the development of a 58-unit rental housing project in the community located at 900 Ash Street Northeast. Based on the projected rents they have ranging from $1,025 per month for a 550 square foot alcove unit to $1,500 per month for a 1,295 square foot 3-bedroom unit. I reviewed their financial projections and concurred that tax abatement assistance was necessary in order to meet some minimum thresholds that they'd be required to meet to finance their project. That included debt coverage of 125%, which is standard in banking, as well as the cash-on-cash rate of return that they were targeting of 8%. What they've requested is a reimbursement of 75% of the new property tax attributed to their project for a period of 10 years. And so ultimately, they would in each year pay their property tax like every other taxpayer in the community. The city would be adopting a separate levy called the tax abatement levy for that portion. That's 75% of that current year's property tax. That in turn would be reimbursed to the developer. And so ultimately, that would continue for a period of time that either 10 years or until they reach a cap of $396,876, which reflects their property tax payments based on that market value with an increase of 3% annually based on what they think is going to happen with market value. Now, at the end of the day, they're only reimbursed what they actually pay, just to be clear, and that wouldn't exceed 75% of the actual property tax, and the cumulative amount wouldn't exceed that $396,876 that they requested. So we have a cap based on what the actual property tax is in any calendar year. We have an overall cap on the amount that would be reimbursed over 10 years, or we get to the 10-year anniversary and ultimately the subsidy's done if it's something less than the $396,876. So if you're interested in pursuing tax abatement, we're required to hold a public hearing, which would be at your December 22nd meeting, at which time you'd have a resolution and a tax abatement agreement before you to consider for approval following the public hearing. That pretty well sums it up. I'd say the benefits of tax abatement that I sense some people are interested in is the fact that it doesn't impose income restrictions on a rental housing project. So I think it was the developer's intention to have a market rate project, and I think that's ultimately what the city would like to see as well. So happy to answer your questions, but the action for this evening is just a resolution calling a public hearing. But it does put some work in motion with regard to drafting an abatement resolution and a tax abatement agreement for you to see on December 22nd, unless you wanted to delay those actions.
Sure. Well, thank you. Scott, you got anything?
I have nothing, as Mr. Sweeney attended the EDA, so he had a very informative presentation for us.
All right, Brian?
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend that EDA meeting. I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of tax abatement. I mean, I understand we increase our tax base, we get the tax revenue, but I just feel like, you know, there's a lot of people in town that pay taxes and they don't get the opportunity to say, can I get some of mine back? You know, it's just, I don't know, it just gives me heartburn, the whole idea of tax abatement. Now, with that said, I like the idea of having a public hearing about this, giving the public the opportunity to speak on it. So in regards to the public hearing, I like that. Still, I mean, you know, the idea of tax abatement as a thing in and of itself, I have a hard time with it.
All right, Kari?
I have to echo what Brian said. I'm also not a fan of tax abatement. I'd like a tax abatement on my property, but I understand why they want it. I know that this apartment complex is a need and a want by a lot of people in town. I'm all for the public hearing as well. But again, I just kind of echo what Brian said. It's not my favorite thing. That's all.
All right, Jamie?
I echo them on, I don't like tax abatements either, but in this instance, it's for a need for the city, one, and two, we're gonna be making more in taxes than we'd be if that lot sits empty, and then we're gonna have a nice building there instead of a vacant, overgrown field with brush growing on it. So there's some benefits, and they probably outweigh the abatement. So let's have this public hearing.
Yeah, and in addition to it, I mean, you look at all the costs that come back to the city, and it is substantially more than what he's looking at collecting back through abatement. And the way I kind of see it is, I mean, we're gonna get a lot of upfront dollar amounts, and we just got done talking about 2027's budget really gonna hurt us. And I'm right there with Jamie, is we're gonna get thousands more per year on that land if it's built to be something based on a need for our community and for our business owners. And so I will be excited to hear what comes from the public hearing, but I really want this to be more transparent, right? So I really want all the costs associated, you know, kind of with this project being the land cost. The one thing for this abatement is, you know, you see the amount that they're gonna abate from the city, but consider the fact that it's almost the same amount that he paid for the land. And it puts it into perspective where this is why the city owns the land, and you don't have to worry about tax abatement, and you got all the whack and sack fees up front. So I'll be excited to hear what the public has to say, and you know, make sure that there's transparency in this and it's understood why. So Shannon, I thank you for your time, and I thank you for this well-formed document. So I'll consider a motion for that.
Motion to schedule the public hearing.
Motion by Palaba.
Second.
Second by Wormerskirchen. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome, Mayor. If I could make one suggestion, since we want public input, you know, my suggestion is we will have an abatement resolution, because I draft that. But we might forego the agreement until after the public hearing, when the council makes its final decision with regard, just to avoid the legal expense. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Is that okay with you, Joe?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Drive safe. Item B, consider approval of ordinance 2025-335, an ordinance amending chapter 30 of the Lonsdale City Code to establish the Founder's Day Committee, as presented in our public hearing. Mr. Corey Hinzenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This public hearing was held earlier in the meeting, and I summarized the staff recommendations. There was one addition, which included staff recommends the secretary need not be a member of the committee. Otherwise, this staff report, or this has been reviewed, this will be the third time that this has been brought forward to the council. And Mr. Mayor, I'll let you open it up for any comments, recommended changes, or make a motion and get the Founder's Day moving here.
All right, thank you, Corey. Brian, you got anything?
No, I think this is just a formality at this point, right? It's
Correct.
already formed.
All right, Corey?
Nothing.
Jamie?
Nothing.
Scott?
I have nothing.
Thank you for your hard work on this one, Corey. I'm sure it was a treat. Try to figure out how to do another committee with Joel and whatnot, but congratulations, Secretary. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Miller.
Second.
Second by Vasipka. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Consider approval of ordinance 2025-336, an ordinance amending city code subsection 153, tag 077, off-street parking on residential property. Corey Hanzaberry, Community Development Planner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. This one has been in the hopper for over a year. The planning commission came back to city code 153.077, off-street parking on residential property, just a month ago, or 2 meetings ago at the planning and zoning committee. The public hearing for ordinance 2025-336, an ordinance amending city code 153.077, off-street parking on residential property, was held at the November 17, 2025 planning commission meeting. No public comments were received. And the planning commission approved the ordinance 2025-336 below with the following updates. So I'm just going to go through these bullet points very quickly here. And Councilmember Vasipka has been part of this process the whole time. So Councilmember Vasipka, if you want to chime in at any time, feel free.
All right.
Update recreational vehicles, and this is in your attachment also. Please refer to the draft ordinance or the ordinance attached to this. Update recreation vehicles seasonal to include off-season vehicles shall not be parked in the front yard area. I am going to hit on this one a little bit though. This was a major discussion between the city administrator and the chief of police as far as making this more detailed and more enforceable. So that's why there is an addition of the vehicles shall not be parked in the front yard area, meaning they have to be parked on a hard surface. Deletion of hunting and waterfowl boats from seasonal classification of recreational vehicles and associated trailers. Change low and high powered golf carts to golf carts. Simplification of standard vehicle weight definition. Change one commercial vehicle shall be counted as S2, correct?
No, it's
as
one. It's because major
Everything
commercial
is down to
vehicles
one, yep.
are excluded, or aren't allowed to be parked there to begin with.
Update utility trailer definition from not to exceed 16 feet to 14 feet. Update standard vehicles, side corner, lot, garage, side pad, setback from back of curb, setback to 5 feet, currently 10 feet. Update standard vehicles, rear yard setback to 5 feet, currently 10 feet. Update standard vehicles, rear yard setback to 5 feet. Update utility trailers, front yard setback to 5 feet. Update trailers, side corner lot, garage side pad setback from back of curb. Update minor recreation vehicles, a side corner lot, garage side pad setback from back of curb. Update major recreational vehicle, side corner lot, garage side pad setback from back of curb. Update minor commercial vehicle, side corner lot, garage side pad setback from back of curb. Incorporate alley and side corner lot setback measurement. Update A, surface only concrete or asphalt for driveway and parking areas. Update C, size, garage side parking pads may be constructed up to 14 feet wide. And this is a key one, driveway access from single-family detached dwellings shall not exceed the width of the garage at the property line or maximum of 36 feet, whichever is less. Addition of, this was something that was talked about at the last meeting, the driveway permit to this permit update. We already require a parking pad permit, and this would now, there is a recommendation to incorporate a driveway permit.
Which is free.
Which is free, like the parking pad. Update vehicle shelters not permitted. Remove deletion of screening requirements. Update maintenance content for non-parking areas. Addition of 3 of excluding active construction sites to contracting and excavating equipment. That was from the last meeting, Councilmember Vosepka. Removal of D, exception for non-conforming status, and removal of 4 other unique situations for special permits. Removal of 5, issuance of special permit, and removal of 6 conditions of special permit. And then the final one, removal of 7, termination of special permit. It was talked extensively about the number of standard vehicles parked on residential property. Bringing back forward, something new was the driveway permit. And then we talked about off-season parking. So what can exactly be parked right now in time in the city of Lonsdale? That includes, from the discussion that the city administrator and I had today, was that minor recreational vehicles can be parked on the side of your garage. So the recommendation from the planning commission was to leave everything as is, make the small changes with the driveway parking permit. And Councilman Vaseka, what am I missing here?
The one thing that the commission was split on was the vehicle limits, as we're limiting it to paved surfaces on the property. Half the commission felt that we needed the number of vehicles. The other half felt that being that you have to be on a paved surface, that was already limiting you. So maybe we could give a little bit on the cars, as there's some families that have more than 4 cars and they keep other stuff in their garage other than their cars. And if you added more cars, it'd take away from the recreational vehicles that you could store on your property or your boat outside. So that was the one thing that we were divided on.
Yes, and council, that is on page 2 of your attachment. C, vehicle limit. The maximum number of vehicle trailers parked outside per residential lot parcel is as follows. That was at number 1 there, maximum number of standard vehicles 4.
Chief, if you don't mind, can you come up here? I'm trying to get perspective for this 4-car limit. Is there any way that, I mean, what's your recommendation? Is it something that's common to go back? Is it something that this police department wants to hold on to in the event of something to fall back onto, or?
Well, I mean, ultimately, it's up to you and the council.
I know, I'm just looking for.
You know, we do see it here every once in a while, you know, where a resident does have more than 4 vehicles. Typically what we see is not all of those 4 vehicles are being operated. They may be parked on the driveway for several months or up to a year. Even though that, you know, the registration is current, all the tires are up, it looks operable, but it's not being used. And then too, sometimes it's where there's no space in their garage to park a car. So without that, you know, we tend to see more vehicles parked in the driveway.
Sure. Where was I at? Kari, how do you feel about that 4-car minimal, or, max? And then is there anything else you'd like to, consider change for off-street parking?
I know I've seen some with, like the grade 5, so that wouldn't be allowed anymore. They'd have to pave it or have concrete.
Correct, ever since, when did we?
2017.
2017, every parking pad was supposed to be a hard surface.
Okay.
And that's why we implemented a free parking pad permit, just so we were able to get out in front of people and let them, hey, we have got setbacks, here's what you can store. And, you know, yeah, there's been numerous parking pads put in that aren't compliant.
All right. And I don't know, as a car lover, I don't know about having as long as they're currently like registered in working order, and you can fit them all on your driveway, not on the grass. I don't know about having a set, I mean, I can't fit more than 4 cars on my driveway, because it's not long, but there's some families who have a lot of teen drivers, and they might have multiple cars, and I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that.
Okay, Mr. Busipka.
Just echo what I said already, but yeah, if, the way we felt is you got 5 cars, you're gonna lose one of your recreational vehicle spots because you're only allowed so much space out there. And it's more towards the larger families with 2 or 3 teenage drivers and not being able to park in their garage because they've got other stuff in their garage, the kids' toys, the kids' bikes, their ATVs, their snowmobiles, their boat, whatever. That stuff's not outside, so you're giving up looking at all that stuff and you're gonna look at an extra car. That's why we thought about maybe getting rid of the vehicle limits.
All right, Scott?
Yeah, I know some, you know, it's kind of hard to put an arbitrary number, not arbitrary, but a number that's gonna cover every property in town. There's some driveways that can't hardly accommodate 1 car, you know, and then there's others that, you know, if their driveway's big enough, you know, you gotta paint lines because you could fit so many cars on it. So, yeah, and I you know, thinking back to, you know, when we went through this back in 2017, you know, that was a, you know, big portion of it is people's driveways became just a long-term parking lot for stuff. So I don't know, I think 4 to 5, you know, I think is very reasonable for the average household. But I can't speak with 100% certainty that that's gonna be enough for somebody specifically.
Sure. Brian?
I mean, if it's a hard surface, you're limited on the space. I mean, kind of going back to what Jamie said, I'd say, you know, as long as you're not out in the street, you know, out of the end of your driveway, or blocking the sidewalk. I think in some cases that's another situation, right, where you'd be blocking the sidewalk potentially. But I don't know, I guess I'm not really married to a number, as long as they're on the hard surface.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. The other item to consider too is, what if we had you know, kind of like an hour limit, kind of like we have with cars parked in front of the, or on the street too. I mean, maybe a 48-hour rule if you exceed, you know, 4 cars.
I think you're running down a slippery slope there because you're talking about private property.
And if people go on vacation or whatever.
Sure.
Or the fact that I walk to work and the only time I use my car is to come to council meetings or go up to Dollar General to get pop for work. So my car sits there for days at a time, but it's licensed, it's insured, it's ready to go, but it's only there if I need it. I don't daily travel with it.
Sure. Is there any other changes to off-street parking that anybody could come up with?
I think just to make a clarification that everything needs to be parked on a hard surface.
We're all in agreement on that one.
Yep. And not on the grass.
Yeah, no grass.
And the other thing is,
There's gonna be there's a lot of violations out there,
There are.
a lot.
So there were some that were non-conforming because they were not hard surface prior to the ordinance change in 17. The city has that list, correct?
Yes.
So then, is there enforcement moving forward for those that aren't compliant?
Should be,
Okay.
absolutely. I think it's more so for the boats and the trailers and campers and stuff that, you know, are in someone's backyard. Just wanna make sure we're all on the same page. Because social media's gonna blow up.
Oh, yeah.
Again, just so that we're all on the same page and understand the ramifications.
So that then would remove the provision for, what was it, 6 inches of decorative rock or something like that, and require it to be concrete or asphalt?
Correct, but this is just, that's not even on that stuff. It's just
Okay,
in
well,
the grass.
No, I understand that. I'm gonna use mine for an example. I have an area in my backyard that is about 6 inches of rock that's, you know, landscape block and everything around it that my duck boat sits on. So, because that met the previous, hard surface requirement by being certain thickness and,
All we inventory back then was parking pads,
okay.
specifically ones that were not hard surfaced. Adjacent to the garage.
So for the people who aren't in compliance, are they gonna get like a notice first before?
I would defer to the chief, I would assume so.
Yeah, we would get a notice first. But it's not something that a property owner can do in 7 days,
Right,
you know, concrete or doing asphalt,
especially with winter now.
parking pad, yes. So basically, it comes down to you know, with the violations, informing them of, hey, this is what's required. To get them to work towards, you know, accomplishing.
Could we give an exception to 100% screened-in properties where nobody knows what's in their backyard? So leave them alone. The solid wood fence, that's 8 feet tall. Nobody's gonna see it anyways.
I suppose you could put some screening requirement in there, but
Is
I mean,
8 feet even allowed?
at that cost, it's probably just
You'd need a variance.
Yeah.
less expensive to put a parking pad in.
Like a 20-foot.
Well, and this isn't something that should just be enforced now, it should have been enforced throughout the year,
Yeah,
not just, oh, it's November 1st. I think that's more of an issue than how many cars you can have on your driveway personally.
Yeah, I know of an instance where somebody took over the alley and through a car trailer on there that doesn't even have an axle.
Is this gonna be reflected through all of our ordinances? So even the public nuisances? Cause we're just going off of the off-street.
Correct, I think as far as nuisances, it's basically, what, operable and registered?
Yes.
Unlawful in storage. Vehicles that are parked or stored outside in the front yard must be on a hard dust-free surface.
So that'll have to get updated. To specifically say that.
Vehicles, watercraft, and other articles stored outside on residential property must be owned by a person who resides on the property. Students that are gone for periods of time still can claim. And then that also has the no more than 4 vehicles parking per lawful dwelling.
So let's say somebody has a nice big driveway and they have family coming from out of town and they have room for 6 cars. Is there something in there that allows them for a couple days or a week when the family is there? Or will they get cited if they have 6 cars?
Have we ever cited someone for having too many vehicles in their driveway?
No, typically it's something that we monitor. It's not like, oh, that driveway's got 6, 7 cars in the driveway, let's go to say. No, it's kind of something that gets monitored throughout the week, month, to see if it's a continued violation, or if it's like, yeah, they had family over or friends over, it was just for the weekend, so.
Corey, I got a question for you. Are carports prohibited now?
Correct.
Okay. I'm okay with tabling this. I know that we didn't get this work packet till 2:00 PM on a Friday, and maybe we had weekend commitments, whatever it may be. We want to take another glance at this at a future date. I'm okay with that too. That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, that's a lot of things that were taken out and a lot of other ordinances to consider. Get you guys enough time to ask city staff questions.
I definitely would want to make sure that these changes are reflected in the other ordinances that are related to it.
I'll go ahead and make that motion to table it for now.
I'll second it so I can do more research.
Second by Miller. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Consider approval of ordinance 2025-337, an ordinance adopting rule and regulations pertaining to wetland buffers. Corey Hensabera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The public hearing for ordinance 2025-337, an ordinance adopting rules and regulations pertaining to wetland buffer, was held at the November 17, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. No public comments were received, and Planning Commission approved the Planning Commission approved ordinance 2025-337 below. So the reason why this ordinance was brought forward is because there's nothing in our city code that pertains to wetland buffer. And this is an actual working question that comes up frequently to staff. What can you do in the wetland buffer? I think a lot of people notice that some residents do a lot of clearing to where they're not supposed to be clearing. And this defines and gives staff a response saying, hey, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. This buffer, or this ordinance was a team approach with the city engineer from Bolton and Mank and with the city administrator. So the wetland protective buffer strip of natural vegetation with a width of 20 feet shall surround all wetlands. That's clear and standard. There's no more guessing. It's clear and standard of a length. Setback vegetation requirements. The setback vegetation shall not be cultivated, cropped, pastured, mowed, fertilized, subject to placement of mulch or yard waste or otherwise disturbed except for periodic cutting or burning that promotes the health of the buffer or to maintain the proposed natural community. Removal of trees, limbs, or branches that are dead, diseased, or pose safety hazards. Actions to address disease or invasive species. Mowing for the purpose of public safety. Temporary disturbance for the placement of repair of buried utilities. In situations where the buffer is entirely on private property. Limiting clearing and trimming of trees, shrubs, and other vegetation within the setback is allowed. To create an access path to be delineated to the wetland edge. The path shall not exceed 12 feet in width. Pesticides and herbicides may be used in accordance with the Minnesota Department of Agriculture rules and guidelines. Once vegetation is established in the setback, no fill, debris, or other material shall be excavated from or placed within a setback, including accessory structures, meaning sheds, fences, and pavements, and except for deck footings. Areas of the transition buffer that will be disturbed by grading activities during construction shall be planned according to the following standards. Soils must be decompacted to a depth of 12 inches and organic matter must be incorporated into soils before seeding or planting. Council member Vasapka will attest that the discussion was originally at 18 inches. Based upon the city engineer's comfort level, 12 inches was the was a minimal recommendation here. And then transition buffer areas shall be planted with native seed mix and or native plantings approved by the city. Recording of setback, the setback shall be documented on the preliminary and final plats. And monumentation, the setback shall be delineated with permanent freestanding markers at the setback's upland edge. So Mr. Mayor, this is a perfect time for the council if they have any questions for this new city ordinance. But staff is looking for a recommendation to approve ordinance 2025-337 and ordinance adopting rules and regulations pertaining to wetland buffer.
Very good, thank you, Corey. Jamie, you got anything?
This is pretty much plain and simple. Even out in the country, they have wetland buffers, but they have different widths depending on the type of wetland. Ours are mainly just stagnant water sitting there, so the 20 feet seems good.
All right, Scott?
The question I have is about number 3, about the monumentation. Who places those? Is that done by the property owner, or is that done by the city, or?
In the past, it was a requirement of the developer's agreement. So whether the developer did it, I believe that one development, city staff, I believe, did it.
Yes. Okay.
Excellent question.
All right, thank you.
All right, Brian?
No, I don't really have any questions.
Carrie?
No, I think this is something we definitely need to help support the wetlands and go along with the DNR and all that good stuff.
All right, very good. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Miller,
Second.
second by Vasapka. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, item E, consider approval of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Lonsdale and Dick Sanitation Services, Inc. Joel Erickson, City Administrator.
So this pertains to snowbirds. in regards to our contractor organizational collection of refuse here in town. The agreement says that every property owner will be billed, regardless of if they use the service or not. So they did, residents did reach out to DSI when they were looking at leaving and for the winter, and obviously not utilizing the service while they're here in down south or wherever they go. So it does seem to make sense to put some clause in there that during a 12-month period, a resident can pause service for up to 3 consecutive months due to snowbird status. All other terms and conditions of our contract would remain the same. I mean, if they're not living there.
They're not gonna have garbage.
Exactly. So that's the only change, to allow residents to pause service for up to 3 consecutive months due to snowbird service. And again, all other items remain the same.
All right, very good. Scott?
Nothing.
Brian?
Makes sense to me.
Corey?
Did we have to have something like this for West Central?
No, we did not. There's been other things that West Central worked with residents on that aren't being worked on with DSI, but that's the agreement, and that's their choice. They provide the service, they collect the revenue, and that's, I guess, been my position when I get called from residents. They're the provider, they're the one collecting the revenue, it's up to them.
That's it.
All right, Jamie?
It just seems like a no-brainer to allow this, and it's gonna benefit anybody that travels for extended periods of time. I'm all for it.
All right, entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Miller.
Second.
Was that yours?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, whoever. I'll second it. I mean, I said it, I just didn't say it loud as Scott did, so. it's
No,
fine.
you didn't. Scott, I'm sorry, I gotta give it to Brian.
That's okay.
All right.
My commission check is hurting now.
Yeah,
It's a battle.
it is. Second by Worm Excursion. Any further discussion?
I guess just you know, going back to what Joel had said is DSI was actually adhering to the contract completely. They weren't reducing the rates because that's what the agreement was. So it wasn't a case of they didn't want to, they said that they couldn't do it. Am I correct? That's how I read it.
They're following the contract.
They're following the contract, so yes, they did this right. So, that's all I have.
Okay, all in favor?
I
All opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of resolution 2025-55, a resolution authorizing the pursuit of funding through the Minnesota Department of Transportation's 2025 Local Road Improvement Program for the Idaho Street Southwest Project. Joel Erickson.
This has been discussed at the last several council meetings. During that time, a project was identified, the council agreed to move forward with it. By approving the resolution, or I should say, the proposed improvements are full depth reclamation of Idaho Street from Main Street South west to the basically city limits on the west side of town on 80th Street or Garfield Avenue. Spot curb and gutter replacement is needed, some storm sewer adjustments throughout, new adjustment rings on some existing castings that we have, add drain tile on the south side from the middle of the project east to Main Street, and then removal and replacement of the trail with ped ramps. By approving the proposed resolution, council supporting the proposed project, authorizing staff to prepare and submit the application, seek the support of Rice County, and is committing funds to project elements not eligible for LRIP funding. Fiscal impact to the city is up to $1.5 million. If awarded funding, but not to the level acceptable to the council, you guys could decide that the project would not be financially feasible and not complete it. Alternatives would be to not approve proposed resolution 2025-55. And then included with staff's report is the proposed resolution, the summary sheet of the program layout map showing Idaho Street and the proposed improvements, and then cost estimates. And here recently I sent out the resolution to the county engineer, just timing being of the essence. They have a meeting on December 2nd, so I wanted to get that information to them ahead of time. Requested, I think, 3 letters of support here tonight, and then sent some others out to state representatives, our state senator, county engineer, and I believe TCU.
All
Unless
right.
there's any questions, staff would recommend approval of resolution 2025-55.
All right, thank you. Brian, you got anything?
No, I just think this is, again, just a, formality.
Sorry?
Nothing.
Jamie?
Nothing.
Scott?
Nope.
All right. Joel, I know it takes a lot of work to get all this together. You've done it over and over and over again, and thank you for doing so, and thank you for Bolton and Mink, and also Joe Dornfeld for recognizing this street project. So let's cross our fingers. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Wordeskersh.
Second.
Second by Palavin. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, very good. Discuss city participation in design and cost sharing of a proposed lift station and force main for the Bixby development. Mr. Jason Malika, city engineer.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Atera Land Services, acting as a consultant for the developer of the Bixby parcel, has indicated that the preliminary sanitary sewer design will likely require a lift station and force main. They have asked how the city would like to proceed with design and construction responsibilities if these components are ultimately deemed necessary. A few points of discussion would be the lift station and force main design. One option would be to conduct a city-led design in which the city would contract with Bolton and Mink to complete the lift station force main design on their behalf, and the design would then be provided to the developer for construction. This option gives the city more control over pumps, controls, and standardization with preferred manufacturers, and makes the design process more efficient. The other alternative would be a developer-led design, in which the developer would hire a private consultant to complete the design, and this design would be reviewed and approved through standard development review process by city staff and myself, the city engineer. This alternative reduces upfront city involvement, and the developer manages the design timeline. Another item to consider would be the design costs. A city-funded option, the lift station would likely serve a larger sewer shed beyond the Bixby parcel, and this service area will be evaluated during design. Those are just kind of some supporting facts as to why you might prefer a city-funded option. And then another alternative could be a cost share, in which there'd be a shared responsibility between the city and the developer based on the benefit and service area, proportionate to the service areas ultimately flowing to the lift station, if you will. And finally, the final item for consideration would be the construction costs of the lift station and force main. One alternative would be for the lift station and force main to be city-funded, in which the city would assume full responsibility for construction costs associated with the lift station and force main. Another alternative would be to conduct a cost share with the developer, where the developer would contribute proportionately based on the benefit or parcel size. And the same would be true for all future developments that would be contributing to the lift station. Fiscal impact to the city is unknown at this time, and it would be influenced by council and staff's decisions on how they wish to proceed with discussions and negotiations with the developer regarding the lift station and force main. The fiscal impact would also largely be influenced by the lift station design criteria, such as depth, pump sizing, etc. And with that said, design is roughly estimated to potentially be around $40,000 to $50,000. And construction, there's a pretty large range, again, largely influenced by those design criteria, but it could range between $300,000 to $700,000, if not more. These costs should only be used for discussion purposes only. If design and construction is developer-led, the city will be expected to reimburse the developer for all oversizing above what is needed by their development. Historically, development has paid for itself, and the city has credited developers proportionally for developer-led infrastructure needed for their development, but that has also benefited others. The city has also led the design, construction, and charged the developer proportionately for their benefit. With that, myself and Mr. Erickson can probably answer any questions you guys might have.
Very good. Thank you, Jason. Kari, you got anything?
It's a lot of money, but what is the timeline kind of for Bixby? Have they?
They're in the design now, and they've gotten to this point where they need a decision from the city, and I didn't want to get too far ahead of the council and commit to anything. I mean, I guess if I had to make a recommendation, it would be city-led, and we would just charge them proportionate to their usage of it.
That's kind of what I was thinking, because then things could be more uniform with processes that we already have in place, so that's all I have.
All right, Jamie?
I'm all for city-led and city-designed. It'll create consistency across what we have already, and they could maybe eliminate the need for extra spare parts by utilizing what they have already versus having a lift station with manufacturer B's stuff. Then they have to have spare parts for that on hand too.
All right, Scott?
I'll agree that I think that the city-led would be the best option for those reasons, as far as, you know, there's gonna be lots of other things too, but a little more control of what's going on, because we're gonna be responsible for it in the long run.
Brian?
Yeah, I guess I would tend to agree with everyone else. Also, based on the fact that as we develop more, we want to be able to have that control over, you know, future planning. And, you know, a lot of what we've talked about over the past year has been, think of the next 10, 20 years down the road. Mm-hmm. The developer's not going to be thinking about across the street and what that's going to need for future development, because they might not be doing the development. So, you know, we need to think outside of the one development, whereas the developer doesn't necessarily have to, so.
What account is this coming out of, the fund?
I would say it would come out of the sewer fund. And I can only imagine that there's gonna be a long-term carrying cost for the city.
Has Bigsby asked for anything else other than this? Any tax abatement or deferred whack and sack or?
Not at this time.
I kinda like to see a little bit more skin in the game. Through Bigsby. I got a little bit of heartburn with them. I'll entertain a motion for it.
I think at this time we would get a proposal from Bolton and Mink to do the study to determine, like was stated, the sewer shed, but then also based off of that, you know, get a solid cost estimate of what, you know.
Figure out what we need first and then go from there. Yeah, I think we need to know.
What other developments would be dependent on this? Would west of Halsted benefit from this?
Would just depend on what that break point is. There is a deep sanitary that is under Fig Street there.
I know this has come up in other conversations for this lift station, and but it's that property itself that I get worried about, because I don't know what else is going to come back, and you know, dependent of what the city would offer for that development to get triggered, if that makes sense. That's the only thing that I get a little worried about. Hate to put this all together and then it just falls apart again. That's just where I'm at personally, just speaking out loud. So,
I guess as far as that development, I mean, it has to pencil out for a developer. I think through our discussions with them and what's been presented to the council, we're, allowing narrower lots than we have any development to hit that density. Unless something major changed, it would not be my recommendation to provide any incentives for single-family detached housing.
So do we need a motion to go ahead with the proposal for,
Well, if everyone's in agreement, I would work with
Just do
the city
that.
engineer and bring one to the next meeting or a meeting here in the near future.
does anybody want to make a motion?
do we need to?
You don't need
Sound
one.
like we need one.
We don't need
Sorry.
to, no, it's okay.
It's getting past,
It's past my
9
bedtime.
o'clock.
Yeah,
We gotta get Corey home.
my bedtime alert went
So,
off, go to
he was
bed.
just looking, he was just looking for direction.
Direction.
Yeah. To what to do, so I think it was kind of more or less, we were all in agreement that the city does it.
Yeah,
And then charges back.
And just for record, I'm totally fine with the city, basically doing that design standard and outfitting it. I totally agree with what council has said. I just have concerns about, this development, that I think we need to have a conversation on. In fact, all of our developments, future developments, really come up with a game plan, so. That's just where I'm at personally, just wanted to share that, so. Yeah, okay. On to item H, consider approval of a proposal submitted by Bolton and Mink in the hourly not to exceed amount of $47,219 for engineering services pertaining to the 2016-26 mill and overlay project. Joe Dornfeld, Public Works Director, my goodness.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Staff has identified the areas for the 2026 mill and overlay project. These areas were identified and justified using our pavement condition index, commonly referred to as our PCI. These areas proposed for mill and overlay in 2026 are Singing Hills Drive from Willow Creek Drive southeast, approximately 525 feet south of Woodridge Court southeast, Woodridge Court southeast, 8th Avenue northwest from Arizona Street northwest to approximately 250 feet north of Arizona Street northwest. Bolton and Mink has provided a proposal for engineering services for the 2026 mill and overlay consisting of 4 tasks. Task 1 is final design. This consists of plan sets, project manual, detailed engineer's estimate of construction costs, and 1 meeting with 3 staff for review of final design. Bidding administration. Bolton and Mink will prepare bid documents, answer any bidding questions, issue addenda as required, review of bids received, and prepare a letter of award recommendation. Task 3 is construction administration. Bolton and Mink will provide construction observation for a 5-day construction time frame at 12 hours per day. Geotechnical engineering. Bolton and Mink will partner with Brown Intertech for construction materials testing and pavement cores. Depending on how the project goes, staff anticipates pavement cores after completion of paving will not be necessary. This would result in a lesser cost to the city for engineering services. I have had a couple discussions with the city administrator about including our updates to our data link, or I'm sorry, Jason, I don't know what yours is called, but our GIS service. So if we don't need those pavement cores, there would be plenty of funds available to do those tasks. Staff recommends approving the proposal from Bolton and Mink for engineering services for the 2026 mill and overlay project in the hourly not to exceed amount of $47,219. Approving this proposal now allows for bidding by February. The city has had success with pricing as well as construction timing by bidding mill and overlay projects early in the year. It's a very good thing for us to be very high on the list in the year instead of scrambling in the fall. The funding for the engineering services for the 2026 mill and overlay project would come from the Road and Bridge Department. Attached is the proposal from Bolton and Mink. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer.
All right, thank you, Joe. Vasika, you got anything?
No, I just like getting bids out early, because the earlier you bid, the cheaper it is.
Yeah. Scott?
Nothing.
Brian? Nope. Corey?
Nope,
All right, very good. Entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
All right, motion by Miller,
Second.
second by Palava. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
On to item I, and it's the B1 zoning district discussion. It was brought up during planning and zoning. There was an inquiry about warehouses being permissible in B1 zoning district. It was brought up to planning and zoning that it was for personal storage only. And I guess my question for that is, does that mean if somebody were to build a warehouse, they couldn't rent out half of that warehouse to somebody else?
Corey, you looked into that. I believe it was commercial as well.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I believe it was commercial as well. But the city did receive an inquiry in regards to storing equipment down on the railway. And the city administrator and I looked for the best solution for that, to fit that case scenario. And that's why the discussion came up with the warehousing category.
So would he be able to do that as written for personal storage? With another identity, would he be able to make that happen?
Yes.
Okay, all right. That was just what I wanted clarification on, Corey. I didn't want to see conditional or variance, because B1 district is so small, we don't have that much space. So just wanted to make sure that that inquiry can be followed through really well. I don't know if you had any more further questions with that, Jamie?
Not really, it's just basically the landowner's responsible for their property, and they should be able to do what they want as far as renting it out. If they've got a bad tenant in there, they're gonna be the ones suffering more because they've got somebody in their building versus if it was all theirs.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody got to watch the planning and zoning meeting or not, or had questions on it. Scott, do you have any questions on that at all?
No, I wasn't able to see it, so I'm
Okay.
kind of flying blind on this one here.
Okay, Brian?
Nothing for me, no.
All right, Corey?
I'm with Scott.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, thank you, Corey. And then the next item is item J, attorney RFP update and discussion. We did in January, go through the RFP process for our attorney. We did select, or we did receive proposals in, and now it's coming up to December, and I think it's important that we get an update and discussion. This should be planned before the new year, but also we want to make sure that the proposals are not going to change with such a long time in between the two. So Joel, I would like an update for that. And if we can get that done in December or not.
Yeah, I think your summary was accurate. I can follow up with the firms that submitted and see if their rates are the same. I suppose at this point it's looking for 26 rates, and I guess if their personnel is consistent with their proposal.
Okay. Scott, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I agree that that's a good point to do.
Brian?
Nope, nothing.
Corey?
Nothing.
Jamie?
I'm good.
All right, very good. We'll be looking forward to that. And then the final thing for new business is also the performance reviews discussion. When we went through the wage compensation study, it was shown that we had issues with step placement. And this is to essentially hold ourselves accountable to what we provided to all of our staff. And so I want to make sure that we are conducting these performance reviews. So all hourly employees would report to their department heads would go to HR committee, and then above that would go to city council. So a couple of the questions that I did have was, do we have performance reviews accessible for council to review and HR committee to review? And were they created by city staff, or was it created by an actual HR identity?
We do have a form. It was not created by a consultant.
Okay.
So the HR committee is going to do department heads and not the city administrator?
Well, you're on the HR committee. I think that, Brian and I would like to attend on some of those too, with our department heads, and see what other feedback we can solicit from them.
Okay.
And then also, are all of our employees at-will employees, or is there any contracted employees that we might have to
All
have?
employees are at will.
Okay,
Even the police, the union?
well, that's union.
Right, well, I mean,
We
Yeah.
have to go through the process,
yeah,
correct?
so that would be the only exception to that, right, would be the union members?
No, they're still at will. It's just a different
Yeah,
procedure
but there's,
to
yeah,
follow.
but there's the grievance process, yeah, so there's a little bit more to it than, yeah.
Okay. All right, that was some immediate feedback, but I really do want to get these performance reviews done before the end of the year. So then that way we can make sure, again, that all of our employees are getting those step increases. The feedback is brought up, so I don't know how you guys normally do them. Joe, do you conduct your performance reviews with you guys and before the end of the year, or?
Just a one-on-one
Sure.
type of, are you expecting one annually, multiple annually?
When I looked at city policy, it did bring up that annual reviews, or performance reviews, annual reviews, whatever, they were annual. So I want to make sure that we're keeping up with that and making sure the step increases are followed.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other questions on that? Brian, I'll start with you.
No, I don't have any other questions.
All right, Carrie?
Nothing, I just feel like performance reviews are a standard in everywhere, so. It gives the employee a chance too to give feedback, and I think we need to be doing it.
Yep. Jamie?
I'm good.
Scott?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, very good. On to other business, department and council reports. Jason Malika, if you want to kick this off.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Thank you again for your consideration and approval of our scope and fee for the pavement management project, the 2026 mill and overlay. I'm personally very excited to kick off our first pavement management project. I've been wrapping up the pavement management plan and CIP update, scope and fee, and just have to meet with staff one last time to work through a few minor details. And then we'll be bringing that to council as soon as possible. Other than that, I've been working through a handful of items for the Harvest Ponds Apartments and the associated reviews, Bixby parcel development, and various lot grading reviews.
Very good, Jason. Thank you. Joe?
Well, all the holiday decorations are up and ready for Frosty Fest to bring some festivities to town. Just kind of same report as I had last time, just sweep and sweep and sweep, making sure the plows are ready to rock and roll. We did receive our GMC 1500 back with the strobes and accessories put on it. More than pleased with what we got back.
Who's driving that one?
It's awesome. That one is Scott Dubon's.
He earned it. He definitely earned that one.
I was going to report to you guys about the dog park. We talked about that earlier. The trees that were approved at the last meeting to be cut down, that is all done. I've been working on proposals for the cleaning of the water tower. I've been reached out to by a couple different companies to lock prices in now for better deals in 2026, being it's on the budget. I'm presenting that. And then just one thing I'd like to tell the council, if you guys have noticed that the lights have been on at the hockey rink, I've received many calls about kids wanting to play roller hockey since daylight savings time. So the schedule for everybody listening will be the lights will be on every day until we start making ice. Once we start making ice, they will be off until the ice is ready to skate. So that's all I got for you guys.
Very good, Joe. Thank you. Corey?
Mr. Mayor, you know it's time to circle back to the Founders Day Committee. At the November 10th meeting, Councilmember Miller and I brought up that the Founders Day Committee is recommending 3 options for the name of the event. That's going to be held on July 3rd of next year. The first selection choice was Lonsdale, or out of the 3, Lonsdale Heritage Festival, Willoughby Day, and then Founders Festival. Councilmember Miller, did I get that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
I forgot we had to decide on that.
We have to decide on that. Our next Founders Day meeting is coming up.
All right, a speed round. Brian, what do you
Speed round.
think?
Or give me those options again.
Lonsdale Heritage Festival, Willoughby Day, or Founders Festival.
I'll take A.
Lonsdale Heritage Festival.
Yep. All right, Carrie?
A or C for me.
You gotta pick one.
I
It's a
can't.
speed round. Pick one.
A or C.
All right, Jamie?
C for next year, A for every consecutive year after that, being that next year is the 250.
Did you get that?
Wait,
Corey?
hey, no, I did not get that. Come on. So first choice is Lonsdale for, Heritage Festival, correct?
So
Except
Brian
for-
got A,
Except
Corey,
for next two.
Brian got A, Corey went A and C, and then Jamie went C for this year, then A for next year, or what, A for 2027.
Yep.
Scott, what do you think?
C.
Okay, and then I'm C, so it's gonna be C, and then possibly A in 2027.
Thank you for making this decision.
Okay, so
tonight.
what was C?
Founders Festival
Founders Festival.
is this year, and then Lonsdale Heritage Festival in 2027. Is that correct?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Nice work.
And then can you add it into the ordinance that every year it's gotta be a different?
Oh, Lordy, no, please. No,
Okay. What else you got, Corey?
this is too much.
We have a public hearing for tomorrow night for the Harvest Pond Apartments preliminary and final plat and site plan review. That starts at 7:00 p.m.
Very good. All right, Joel, what do you got?
We got P and Z tomorrow, public hearings for the apartments, closing on the old city hall December 1st. Gather the local road improvement program information and get that submitted. Social media RFPs are due, I believe, on the 2nd, either 1st or 2nd. Liquor committee, the 2nd. Advisory board applications will be due here soon. And then the levy and budget will be approved at the December 11th council meeting. Other than that, hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving.
Isn't the closure on the old city hall tomorrow at 3 p.m.?
No, that never happened.
Okay. So it's for sure December 1st.
Correct.
And then at what time? Was that AM?
8 a.m., I believe. I can confirm that.
Sure.
But yeah, there was a request to close on Tuesday, but that apparently didn't work for their financing.
Oh, what a tease. All right, thank you, Joel. Brian, what do you got?
Library board met last week. We went through the budget discussion. The Halloween party was a big success, 129 attendees. Thank you to everybody who came. And a special thank you to all the volunteers that helped make that a success. That was on the Friday. The Saturday following was the teen dance party. So thank you to the junior library board for continuing to come up with innovative ideas for kids around town. There was 10 attendees for that, which is pretty good for a teen event. There was the craft supply swap, which was a big hit this year. We're already getting a request to do it again. So that might be a multi-year thing, you know, evaluating availability to get that going again. The library will be represented at Frosty Fest at Something for All from 2 to 5:30, giving out packets. STEM kits are available for checkout, and coming soon will be events using those STEM kits. Thank you again for the grant. Can't remember exactly, I didn't go back and look who that grant was from, but that was all purchased through grant money, so thank you. Check the paper, watch the paper. There's a new section in there called What's Up at the Library section. So that's a continuing regular piece of the Lonsdale News Review. So thank you to them for putting that in. And we had over 150 responses to the survey. The data is being compiled now, and there was a 6-member focus group of community members that got together and talked strategic planning, and then the stakeholders group, which will include members of the library board and I'm not sure who else exactly, but the stakeholders group will meet after the data is compiled and kind of review that data and what came from the focus group. So that was it, and unfortunately, again, I was unable to attend the EDA meeting on Thursday because I had a death in the family.
Sorry for your loss.
All right, thank you, Brian Curry.
All right, so the liquor committee meeting is the 2nd. Parks and Founders are on the 8th. Just a shout out to the chamber for Frosty Fest coming up here on Saturday. Make sure you get out and vote on those trees that people are gonna be decorating at Something for All. And in honor of Thanksgiving, I'm very thankful to be here and to for all of you here and for Lonsdale. So thank you.
Good, thank you. Jamie?
Planning and zoning had 2 public hearings, off-street parking and storage on residential property, and a public hearing for wetland buffers. Then we reviewed and discussed conditional uses and uses for business, industrial, and commercial zoning districts. We are also discussing commercial off-street parking and storage. And then we have a special public hearing tomorrow night for the apartment buildings.
All right, thank you. Scott?
Last week, the safety committee met. I had the opportunity to sit in on that. Reviewed the fire department recommendations by Safe Assure. And then we scheduled the future meetings and locations moving forward. And then Thursday, the EDA met. We got our update on the Small Cities Program Housing Rehabilitation Grant as far as where people are on that. There's still money available for that, so recommend people, we have funding until the end of '26. We did our final approval of the budget. We updated, or got an update on our business retention and expansion business visit. We identified a couple months ago who we wanted to meet with, and staff sent out questionnaires, so those went out, and I believe we have one of them back, if not both of them. So we have one back, and then we'll be scheduling a visit to go over that. And update on the social media, because the contract with West Brack is up, so we're getting the we got the latest stats, and then what we're looking at for upcoming contract. And then we had a presentation on the tax abatement for the apartments, and so that was kind of all it in a nutshell.
All right, thank you, Scott. had K-check today for Mayor Monday. Also met with a group for a hotel last week. You should be receiving the PDF packets that I saw, council, so if you don't have it now, hopefully you'll have it tomorrow. Also had a liquor store meeting going over finances, so thank you to Tammy and Lynette and Jess and Brian and Joel for all being there. Sergeant position interviews, and thank you to our Chief Jason Schmitz and also Rice County Captain Paul LaRouche. December 11th will be a very historic moment for the city of Lonsdale, as we've never had an additional leadership position, and that's going to be a very, very special day. And thank you to the Lonsdale Community Foundation for the generous donation to the Villages of Lonsdale for $1,000 to help fund for a CDL license. So hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving, and that's all that I have. So our upcoming meetings are Thursday, December 11th at 7 p.m., Monday, December 22nd at 7 p.m. And if there is nothing else to be addressed, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Miller,
Second.
second by Palau. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, everybody have a great night. This means now adjourned.
No.